finished and released. Mechanix Menace, all my money to trade. Mechanix Menace, it's on a hashtag. Mechanix Menace, so very, very low. Mechanix Menace, your doors off, it will blow.
Hi guys, Henrik Scholder here with Mechanix Menace. The time has come to add some more tubes to the tube chassis, and the part that I am going to work on now is the firewall here. And this tube you can see here, that's just a temporary support tube to minimize the welding distortion when I seam weld these two tubes and these two tubes. And the new tubes that I'm going to add now are, first of all, a round tube that will go straight out from this junction here, out like this. And then there will be a square tube attached from the bottom here up to that round tube. And another square tube, or actually I should say rectangular tubes, going up back here to attach to this corner here of the windshield beam. And then the B-pillar here will be attached to these two square tubes with some sheet metal, and then a new bigger rocker panel will come all the way forward and also be welded onto this structure here. And then the entire driver's compartment will have a lot of sandwich panels, so the floor, the rear firewall, the front firewall and the transmission tunnel will be covered with these sandwich panels, and most of them will consist of two aluminum skins with a 25mm or 1-inch foam core, and they will be glued and riveted onto the tube structure itself. But for the front firewall here, I think that the outer skin, I would probably instead use some sheet metal which will be welded onto the tubes. And the reason for that is that on the driver's side I will have a lot of stuff attached here, like steering column, pedal box, brake booster, some more things probably. And then I think it's easier to have sheet metal where I can weld brackets and support structure onto it. And I also think that from a looks standpoint, I like it more to have it smooth instead of having a lot of rivets showing in the engine compartment. And then of course the whole front part of the tube frame will be attached here, so those tubes will attach here, up here, there and up here, and then go forwards to create the engine compartment and the mounting for the front suspension. So the engine will sit roughly here, and in front of it we have the front suspension. And if I recall right, I think that the center line for the front wheels is like 25 centimeters or like 10 inches in front of the front part of the engine block. So that's going to be beneficial for weight distribution. But now I think it's actually time to start cutting the tubes and welding them in. Let's go! So the first thing I'm going to do is to notch the end of this tube, which will go here. And in order to do that, I have created this notching template from the CAD model. That's one of the benefits of having a complete CAD model. You can do this kind of stuff. So this fits on here like this. So I just put the template on the end of the tube, and then I'm going to scribe the outline and then cut it with my angle grinder. Yes. Since the notching template is a little loose on the tube, I will tape it to the tube so it won't move when I scribe the outline. Okay, should be good. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Maybe you can see I had some previous scribe lines there as well. Yeah, I think this will work. Okay, let's do some cutting. Okay, I will check with the notching template on. So this looks pretty close. I will probably have to do some minor fine tuning when I rig it perfectly in position. But let's check it out how it looks on the tube chassis. So let's see. I think, okay, this looks reasonably good so far. So now I am going to cut a piece of this board to use as a fixture for the tube. One side is cut, almost there. So there it is, cut out or sawed out. So now I'm going to put some 2x2 pieces or similar with a specific distance, which will be the distance between the lower and this new upper round tube, to get it to be parallel and horizontal with the lower tube. So now I will cut those two 2x2s that will specify the distance between the round tubes. And it should be 210.1 millimeters. I think I will be okay with 210. And this is the ruler that I am normally using, since they are not all showing the exact same dimension. I have a couple of different ones that show the same that I use for critical measurements. So let's see. I think that's good enough. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good enough. See if it is square or cut at a right angle, which it is. And I just need a second one. I wonder if I can do this. Maybe. No. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that is good enough. So now I need to screw these on to this little board, which you can see now also have some cutouts for some stuff that's in the way on the chassis jig. Now I need to adjust this 2x2 in the correct position. I have aligned it with the lower line here, which is going to sit on top of the bottom round tube, and then I am going to see if this is square to the line, and actually pretty close just by doing it by eye a little bit more like that. It's not super critical, it's when I attach the next one that it's critical that they are parallel and at the same height. So this is good enough. Hope I can tighten this without it turning like that. And looks good. Looks good. I have pre-drilled a couple of holes. Now I'm just going to screw the two parts together. Good still. And did I drop the carpenter square? Was that the noise? Yes, here it is. Okay, that's not so good. You should take care of your tools. Not me. Yep. Good enough. On to the next one. So now when I am going to put the second 2x2 in place, it's more critical to get everything to line up perfectly. So let's start doing that. So this is a new attempt with two clamps here, and I have lined it up on both sides, and I also have checked the spacing, which is equal. Now I hope I will be able to tighten it without things moving away. We'll see. Okay. Final check. That looks good. Distance is equal. Nice. And the final check on the other side. This looks good too. Good. So here is the finished fixture, and it is going to sit like this against this tube and against this tube, and then the tube I just notched will go on like that. And this means, since these are the same length and are parallel and this fixture is tight up against these two tubes, this means that the new tube here will be parallel to the lower tube, and it will be at the correct angle also. So let me put the fixture on with some clamps and see how everything fits. I'm gonna check with the light if there are any gaps between the tubes and the fixture, but everything looks really nice. Okay, so here's the tube. So it will be like this, and now I see that I need to continue the notching, because now when everything is aligned as it should, it doesn't fit perfectly, which is expected since I just hand fitted it before. I will check with piece here if it lines up against the outside with this tube as well. So if the distance here that I took from the CAD model is correct in real life as well. So with this upper board here in place, I can check if the alignment of this new tube is correct height-wise. Yeah, by putting this light here, I can see that there is a small gap at the bottom and none at the top. So this means that the tube is a little bit too high, which means that the chassis probably is not exactly like in the CAD model. So I will take a little measurement of the height of the junction here between those two tubes to see if it is according to the CAD model or not. I have now rigged up my laser instrument, and with the laser line aligned at the center of this tube where the two tubes meet each other here. We should have a measurement on this height measurement here at 1056 millimeters. And let me see, I need to get my glasses to see. Yeah, maybe a little bit above, but it seems to be correct. So, not exactly sure why it doesn't match up, but it doesn't matter. I will shorten these vertical 2x2s so the tube here will align with this upper tube. Doesn't really matter exactly where this ends up, but the perfectionist me wants everything to be as close as possible to the theoretical measurements according to the CAD model. So now I have shortened these to 2x2s in a couple of stages, and I have again put on this board. And now if we check the alignment to the top tube here, there is no gap. It's directly against the tube all the way from top to bottom. So that means that I now have it at the exact center of this junction here, and it's now a matter of fine tuning the notch. And regardless of how I rotate it, there still is a bit too big of a back gap there. It needs to be ground on this outside here. So that is what I will do next. So now I have dressed the notch a little bit more, and the fitment, while maybe not perfect, is for sure good enough to weld. As a double check, I check with a laser if the tube is horizontal, and as you can see, the laser line is perfectly aligned, meaning that it is horizontal. So that is good. So the next step is to weld up this joint here, since that will be covered by this tube. I will do it on both sides, and both inside and outside in steps, to try to make the distortion as small as possible. So now I have seam welded both joints, and it's maybe not my very best result regarding welding quality, but it'll hold up and it'll do. The tube is now clamped in place, And everything is tight and nice up against the fixture. So now I am just going to tack weld it in a couple of places. So before I tack the tube in place, I have drilled a 3mm hole here to prevent the weld from getting a crater when everything is closed up and I do the final part of the welding. I made 3 small tack welds here, and now I am going to take the fixture off and see how it looks. Of course, the tube has risen a bit on this side because I couldn't reach down low enough here to put the last tack weld in, but it doesn't matter. When I am welding the rectangular tubes up here, I of course again will use the fixture, and I will just tighten this down so it sits where it should. But let's see how it looks without the fixture. Okay, feels pretty sturdy even with just these 3 tacks. I think I am pretty happy with this. Yeah. I think that'll have to do for now, and guess it's time for a cup of coffee or two. And also I think that this will be the last thing I include in this video, to not make it too long and boring, and the rest of the tubes will be included in an upcoming video. So thank you for watching all of this if you have, and check back and see the progress. Thank you.